let's get one thing straight right up front. As you are watching this, the United States and Iran are at war. And no, this isn't a proxy war or a Cold War or some kind of shadow conflict. It's the real deal, an active military conflict. Okay, let's break this down.
We're on day 57 of this thing. Thousands of people are already dead, a critical global trade route is completely blocked, and this conflict is far from over. It's happening right now, this very second.
And just when you think things can't get any more tense, they do. Today, April 26, 2026, the United States just pulled its peace delegation out of Pakistan. So yeah, any hope for a quick diplomatic fix? It just got a whole lot dimmer.
So you're probably asking yourself, how on earth did we get here? This war in the Middle East feels like it just exploded out of nowhere, right? Well, a lot of people are confused about how it started, what's happening on the ground today, and the big question, where it's all going. We're going to untangle this whole mess for you.
To really get what's happening now, we've got to rewind a lot, because this fight didn't just pop up overnight. Nope. What we're seeing is the explosive result of nearly half a century, 47 years, of bad blood and deep-seated hatred. It all kicks off way back in 1979 with the Islamic Revolution and the U.S. Embassy hostage crisis, which basically poisoned the well from the very beginning. For decades, it just simmered. Then in 2015, we got the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, and for a minute, it looked like there was an off-ramp. But that didn't last. In 2018, the U.S. pulled out and slapped sanctions back on, and things went south fast. By 2025, Iran's economy is in a nosedive, huge protests are rocking the country, and at the same time, they're ramping up uranium enrichment, enough for maybe 4 or 5 bombs, and they've kicked out the international inspectors. The breaking point came on February 24, 2026. President Trump went on TV and told the world Iran was back in the nuclear weapons business, and just 4 days later, the response came.
On February 28th, at 1:15 in the morning, the talking officially stopped. The military phase began with Operation Epic Fury. And the scale of this thing, it was just staggering. We're talking about the U.S. military launching nearly 900 strikes in the first 12 hours alone. They threw everything they had at it. B-2 stealth bombers, Tomahawk cruise missiles, you name it. And at the exact same time, the Israeli Air Force launched the biggest combat mission in its entire history, hammering 500 military targets across Iran, an incredible show of force.
The goal of this opening salvo was brutally simple: decapitation. And it worked. In those first hours, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, who'd been in power for 34 years, was killed. Along with his family, the defense minister, the chief of staff, dozens of top officials just gone. The world literally woke up to a fundamentally different and way more dangerous Middle East. After declaring 40 days of mourning, you better believe Iran fired back.
So let's talk about Iran's retaliation, because it was massive, and it came from all different directions. You had your conventional military attacks across the region, but they also made one huge strategic move, a gambit really, that turned this from a regional fight into a full-blown global crisis.
First, they unleashed the missiles. Hundreds of ballistic missiles and thousands of drones were launched at Israel and at U.S. bases in Qatar, Kuwait, and the UAE. Air raid sirens were wailing across Tel Aviv. Then, up in Lebanon, Iran's most powerful proxy, Hezbollah, jumped in, escalating their fight into an all-out war. And then, with the entire region in flames, Iran played its ace in the hole.
What'd they do? They shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Now you have to understand, this little stretch of water isn't just some waterway. It is the jugular vein of the world's energy supply. It is the single most critical choke point for oil on the entire planet.
And the effect on the rest of the world? It was immediate. Think about it. 20%, 1/5 of the entire world's daily oil supply just vanished. Poof! Oil prices shot through the roof instantly. Airlines started grounding flights, shipping companies were scrambling, rerouting these giant tankers all the way around Africa, which adds weeks and millions of dollars to every delivery. This wasn't just a war anymore. It was a global economic heart attack.
So after 5 straight weeks of this relentless fighting, Pakistan steps in and somehow manages to broker a ceasefire. This was on April 8th. The deal seems simple enough. The U.S. and Israel pause their strikes, Iran reopens the strait, and everybody starts talking. Seemed okay, right? Well, it lasted for less than 24 hours.
And here is the absolute core of the problem, why everything is still so incredibly tense. You look at what both sides are demanding, and they're not even living on the same planet. The U.S. wants Iran to stop nuclear enrichment, limit its missiles, guarantee free passage in Hormuz, and stop funding its proxies. It's all about neutralizing threats. But for Iran, this is about survival.
They want an end to the U.S. naval blockade, security guarantees they won't be attacked again, and war reparations. So one side's security demands are the other side's existential threat. The gap between them is just a canyon.
So let's just recap where we stand, right now, today. The ceasefire is technically holding, but that's almost meaningless when both sides are actively blockading each other. The peace talks have fallen apart for a second time, a second U.S. aircraft carrier is steaming towards the region, and Iran's top diplomat just packed his bags and left the negotiating table. The bombs have paused, for now, but the pressure cooker is about to blow.
So, the billion-dollar question is, where do we go from here? When you really look at all the pieces on the board, there are basically 3 realistic ways this whole thing could play out.
All right, path number 1, the best case. A deal is reached, talks resume, somebody makes a concession, the blockades are lifted, and they hammer out a real long-term agreement. Path number 2 is the stalemate. The blockades just drag on for months, with both sides in a staring contest trying to wait the other one out. And then there's path number 3, the strikes resume. The talks are declared dead, military action kicks off again, and this thing spirals into a full-blown regional war that would absolutely crater the global economy. Right now, that stalemate scenario seems like the most likely outcome, at least in the short term. And as former Ambassador Adam Areli put it, quote, Tehran has shown it can endure sanctions and may be able to outlast both Trump's patience and U.S. public support. In other words, Iran has a history of absorbing this kind of economic pain, and they might just think they can wait America out.
But don't get too comfortable with the idea of a stalemate, because that nightmare scenario is terrifyingly possible. I mean, just this week, Senator Lindsey Graham suggested that direct U.S. military action might be needed to go in and establish firm control over the Strait of Hormuz. So let's be crystal clear. The option for this to escalate into something catastrophic is very much on the table.
So let's boil it all down. The key takeaway is this. This is not a historical event. The war is not over. The blockades are in full effect. Warships are moving into position right now, and diplomacy has just failed. Again, this is a live, ongoing crisis.
Which leaves us with one final, urgent question. What happens in the next 2 to 3 days? Will some new proposal come out of nowhere, or will the strikes resume? This conflict is reshaping the world in real time, and the next move could come at any moment.